Yeah, your man Trump, yeah, he's pissing the beast off. And I love it. Every bit of it. I'm gonna start by giving all honor, all praise, and all glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of the great millstone that rule well. As always, peace, blessings, and salutations to the tabernacle of David, the 04 elect, scattered abroad across the four winds of the earth. You can't tell me, the spirit that Trump is in, doesn't remind you of the prophecy about the little horn spoken of in Daniel, the 7th chapter. It talks about the little horn, who had the eyes of a man and he spake great things. When you hear him speak, especially concerning, global issues, he's always undermining or belittling his own allies. And now that he's in this Don Roll doctrine quest, he's on that Don Roll doctrine quest, which includes, taking landmass that actually is part of the jurisdiction of Denmark, which is a NATO ally. He's only doing things to quicker sabotage the relationship that NATO already has with America. All right, and this is not going to end well for anybody associated. All right, but this is all part of the will of the Heavenly Father, and let His will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Right. So I think this is one of the latest posts that Trump made on his account, where he's basically just letting NATO have it. All right. Matter of fact, let me play this real quick so you can see the captions of the post that he made.
To bring you up to speed on here as we watch these shifting tectonic plates of geopolitics. The first one from the President of the United States, sharply critical now of the NATO Western military alliance. The President saying on social media a short time ago, Russia and China have zero fear of NATO without the United States, and I doubt NATO would be there for us if we really needed them. Everyone is lucky that I rebuilt our military in my first term and continue to do so.
He's straight up gaslighting NATO right now. Which it is true that, NATO wouldn't be as powerful if they didn't have America a part of it. All right. That's how we conclude that NATO is the beast, because you got the whore, which represents America, right? That rides the beast. Okay. So when you got an entity that's riding you, that means that entity has control, is given direction. And the U.S. has been instrumental in the direction of NATO as a military alliance. When it came to tackle Yugoslavia, hey, go in and get them. Right? When it came down to get Libya, when Obama was in office, go in and get them. And of course, the U.S. was right there assisting. All right. So he's pretty much telling them, y'all wouldn't be shit if it wasn't for us, for America, United States. All right. Russia would pretty much just walk over y'all, they would have took Ukraine. This is what he's telling them. He's throwing that in their face right now, while he's still entertaining the possibility of taking Greenland. So just peep. Let me bring it back.
NATO Western military alliance. The President saying on social media a short time ago, Russia and China have zero fear of NATO without the United States, and I doubt NATO would be there for us if we really needed them. Everyone is lucky that I rebuilt our military in my first term and continue to do so. We will always be there for NATO, even if they won't be there for us. The only nation that China and Russia fear and respect is the great DJT rebuilt USA, Make America Great Again. That coming from the President of the United States in apparent response to criticism from some that he is seeing about the White House's statement yesterday suggesting that the U.S. May use military force to try to take over Greenland.
And it ain't just Greenland. All these nations, they're seeing, this newfound energy to just go and imperialize. Just go and just which, I mean, NATO, they've been complicit, in other, raging changes in the past. But the way that everybody just saw what he did to Maduro in Venezuela, they like, yo. Everybody's right now is like, yo, what is Trump on? Now we know exactly what he's on. All right. He clearly has a charged battery pack in his back, and on that pack lies a 6-pointed hexagram right on it. All right. And that's, when we always mention the prophecy, which I'll grab it real quick. Let's go to Jeremiah, because that battery pack is what's gonna lead, with them stirring up all these conflicts and using Trump to do so. It's gonna get them in a situation, very abruptly. Jeremiah, was it 49? Actually, I think let me get the one in Jeremiah. I think it might be 51. Let me see. Because ultimately, this is gonna cause Babylon to be lured into a snare, and the Heavenly Father is the one that's setting that snare, for this place. It's just too proud, man. I think it's Jeremiah 50. Let me jump down. Yep, here it is. Jeremiah 50 and 45, and it says, "Therefore hear ye the counsel of the Lord." So listen up. This is a decree from the Heavenly Father himself. It says that the Lord have taken against Babylon and his purposes, that he have purpose against the land of the Chaldeans. And remember, you cross-reference it with Isaiah the 13th chapter. It tells you that the Lord is he's gonna bring forth the land. He's gonna bring forth the weapons of his indignation, and he's gonna basically bring it to. Let me just go to it. Isaiah 13. Yep, Isaiah 13 and verse 4, it says, "The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together." Because this is going to be a war, the final world's war, World War III, the war of Armageddon. It says, "The Lord of hosts mustereth the host of the battle." So the Lord is the one that's causing all this conflict, all right, between these world nations and leaders. That's why the Lord gave the warning that there's going to be nation rising against nation and kingdom against kingdom, right? They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord, and the weapons of his indignation. And what is the weapons of his indignation? Those nukes that almost everybody have now, damn near. And they all are going to point it in a particular direction, because everybody's going to have the same conclusion. All right? Everybody's going to realize who the common denominator is. It says to destroy the whole land. So this is the Lord's counsel and his purpose against Babylon. All right? So going back to Jeremiah 50, it says, "Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out, Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. See that? And at least of the flock is the people that occupy the blue 6-pointed hexagram, all right, on their flag. They're going to be the ones that's going to draw Babylon into this global war. Because now you finna fight on all these different fronts. All right. Now you at it with NATO. Now they're looking at you like, man, you're not really a ally. You know. Then you attacking all these Latin American countries. You got Russia and China. They're, you know, getting their ducks in a row. Then they finna lure you back to a situation with Iran. They might even use cause a false flag or whatever to get you to go in that direction. And you're going to do it because you're going to do whatever they tell you to do. So ultimately the Lord is causing you to have your arm pulled into this, because this is what's going to lead to the end of your reign, your empire. All right. It says, at the noise of the taking of Babylon, the earth is moved. Because we know that, you know, once they shoot all them arrows on this place, it's going to cause a major earthquake. That the whole entire earth is going to shake to and fro. It says, and the cry is heard among the nations. You know, Revelation 18, echoing what the nations are going to be saying when they realize that America has been thrown down. You know, the merchants, you know, they're going to be like, man, they're going to be wild. They're going to bewail the smoke of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon. You know? So, yeah. So right now, this is what we're seeing. All right. This is a major change happening. Okay. NATO is disgusted. The European countries, they're disgusted with the whore right now. And that plays right into Revelation 17 and 16. All right. Which the Lord's going to put the Spirit on them to do. Revelation 17 and 16. And the 10 horns, which thou sawest upon the beast, and Denmark is one of those horns, by the way, these shall hate the whore, and they can't do nothing about a military intervention. So what could they do about it? They're just going to get mad. They're going to be super pissed. All right. That's why they've been saying that, you know, if they do this, this is going to be the end of NATO. Right. Because they're divided. Right. That's in Daniel, the 2nd chapter, about the toes being divided. Partially iron and partially clay. It says, these shall hate the whore and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. And how are they going to be able to do that? There's only one way they can do that, from across the waters. All right. When they begin to, you know, fly into the ends of the earth, they shall be sharp and not miss. So anyway, going back to Daniel, because the way Trump is, his attitude right now, you know, they in that, you know, we're unstoppable. We can't be stopped. You know, we're gonna basically run over, you know, our enemies. We're gonna crush you. We're gonna take over this. We're gonna demand that. That's what's going on right now. All right. And this is all in the name of the you-know-who's, right? This is Daniel 7 and 7, and this is dealing with the Roman Empire. It says, after this, I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth that devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. You know, which in Revelation, the 17th chapter, it talks about the 10 kingdoms, you know, which multiple were already fallen, but you got the one that is right now. And that happens to be America. All right. It says, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were three of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were it's like it were eyes like the eyes of men, and a mouth speaking great things. So this horn would basically come up from among these three. Now, who are these three horns? What are these? Who do the three horns represent, or what do they represent? Well, you had the three European nations that came over to the Western Hemisphere. You had the British, of course. You had the Spanish, and then you had the French. And there was wars among them, of course, and they took their territory. But who was victorious when they came over here to the States? Because you had the British, they colonized America first. But then there was a war that ensued, and then America claimed its independence after that war from the British. All right? And thus, America was founded. Okay? So that little horn is now speaking great things. We're at the top of the world right now. Right? Can't nobody make war with us. Can't nobody do nothing. And you can clearly see that in the demeanor that Trump has. Nero 47. Now, when you look up that word great things in the Hebrew, the word is rob. All right? Rob. And it says great, figuratively of power. It says in the Strong's definition, huge in size, domineering in character, very great things. And you can't tell me that they're not being domineering. All right. With this latest down road doctrine objective, you would have to be domineering to pull this off. What they did to Venezuela recently was domineering. All right. And what they attempting to do with Greenland is domineering. And this is what I asked the chat this. I said, is America under the current regime of Donald Trump domineering, especially with the down road doctrine approach they are taking? And this is the response. Here's a clear fact-based assessment of whether the United States under Donald Trump's current regime as of early 2026 is acting in a domineering imperial way internationally, especially with what's being called the down road doctrine. Key developments on U.S. foreign policy under Trump 2025 to 2026. And then it has the different articles. It says, what is the down road doctrine? The term down road doctrine, a portmanteau of Donald and Monroe doctrine, isn't an official legal doctrine, but a popular label for President Trump's renewed emphasis on U.S. influence in the Western Hemisphere. The administration's 2025 national security strategy explicitly revives the Monroe doctrine, which was the same doctrine that they had back then, when they was doing all this colonizing. All right, it says, and adds a so-called Trump corollary, this states the U.S. will prioritize the Western Hemisphere as its main regional security concern, deny foreign rivals, especially China, control of strategic assets in the Americas, and use military, economic, diplomatic tools to shape regional outcomes. In effect, it calls for a renewed sphere of influence approach similar in spirit to 19th and early 20th century U.S. policy, though framed as America First realism. This is all U.S. unilateralism. This is when I went into the other day about Isaiah the 47th chapter, where it says about the attitude of Babylon, that she says, I am and none else. That's that attitude. All right. I'm the first. I'm the alpha. Right. That's the attitude. It says examples of assertive or domineering actions. Venezuela. So we already know about Venezuela and what they just done. Oil and strategic assets. Following the operation, the administration announced actions to seize Venezuelan oil tankers and assert control over portions of Venezuelan oil revenue, moves that many international observers call overtly self-interested rather than defensive. And then we just heard that Russia sent some submarines and naval ships to assist an oil tanker down to Venezuela. And then we also heard that they actually attacked a Russian tanker recently. So right now they on some, hey, we're calling everybody's bluff right now. They're officially in bully mode. All right. So it's only a matter of time before everybody start to, you know, get some courage up, you know, let their balls finally hang and stand up to the whore, man. Because that's basically what's going on right now. The world's getting bullied. They on some it's our way or the highway. This is how experts describe this style of foreign policy. There's broad debate among analysts. Critics view it as domineering interventionalists. They argue Trump's approach resembles neo-imperial or sphere of influence policies, asserting U.S. dominance in Latin America and beyond. Scholars warn that Trump corollary evokes early U.S. interventionism and may damage long-term regional relationships. That's already happening. Especially if he's about to try to go for, because they feeling threatened now. Cuba, Mexico, Colombia, you know, all them different countries, they all are feeling threatened right now. Supporters, administration, defenders frame it differently. Of course, they got their narrative. So is America domineering under Trump? In foreign policy terms, yes, in several respects, especially in the Western Hemisphere. The revival of the Monroe Doctrine with a Trump corollary signals a more assertive U.S. posture aiming to shape other countries' policies and limit non-U.S. influence. Actions like the Venezuela operation are rare and far beyond traditional defense measures. So this is him, you know, he's speaking great swelling words, or he's speaking great things. He's being domineering, all right? And this is what's pushing these nations to despise Babylon, okay? How it looks to others. Down here it says Latin American leaders, global powers, China, Russia, and you could throw NATO in there now. You know, where they're divided, they're split on it. And many international lawyers call these actions domineering or hegemonic, okay? Critics argue this risks destabilizing norms of sovereignty and international law. All right. So this is Daniel 7. Okay. That little horn. And let me jump down, because that same horn is going to get flamed. All right, Daniel 7. And I'll start at 9, because this is when you know, the Lord came to the Most High. Yahushua came to the Most High when he was getting, you know, he was finna get his dominion on earth, because the Lord's going to come and ultimately win this entire thing. That's what they're not realizing, that Yahushua himself, or Mashiach, he's going to come and he's going to end the war. All right. And everybody's going to have to be subdued. He's going to conquer the world and put everything under his feet. What do you think that song meant when it said, the Lord said unto my Lord, sit down on my right hand till I make thy enemies thy footstool? So we're just awaiting the Lord to return. He's going to sort everything out. Daniel 7 and 9, it says, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his will was as burning fire, describing the Most High, his glorious appearance. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands 1,000 thousands ministered unto him, the angels, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him, and the judgment was set, and the books were opened. I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake. I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed, and given to the burning flame. All right, and that's this beast. All right, America's gonna be done for. The beast, NATO, they're gonna be done for. Their army's gonna get flamed. They're gonna be charbroiled. They're gonna be automatically cremated. That's gonna be that war. All right, when the Lamb shows up with the host of heaven. But also the missiles is gonna finish this great whore, whose look was more stout than his fellows, who spoke great words. Okay? And the Lord is telling you why. Because she had been proud against the Lord. Let's go back to Jeremiah 50. Jeremiah 50 and I'm going to read this one, but it's not the one. Jeremiah 50 and 23, it says, how is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? I have laid a snare for thee. So that shows you right there, the Lord is luring this devil into a snare by allowing him to fulfill his level of pride that he got. The pride of thine heart have deceived thee. The pride is so vast, you can't even see the snare that's in front of him. It says, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou was not aware. You didn't see it coming. All right, making enemies with everybody, bullying the world, taking everybody's resources, feeling like you're invincible because you got all this firepower, you got the military, you got the technology, you got satellite lasers in the heavens, you got it all. Nuclear missiles, ICBMs. It says, thou art found and also caught because thou hast striven against the Lord. And that's part of why the Lord is going to, lead you into this. Let me find the other one. Yep, Jeremiah 50 and 29, it says, call together the archers against Babylon. All ye that bend the bow camp against it round about. Let none thereof escape. Recompense her according to her work. According to all that she have done, all this damage in the earth, all this destruction. You drop atomic bombs on people, strikes, destroy many cities. Completely just, cause desolate cities, right? Regime changes. Do unto her, for she have been proud against the Lord, against the Holy One of Israel. And that's exactly what, what we seeing. I am and none else. That's pride. This unilateral attitude. You got this clown-ass pastor that said, yeah, God just told me that America is to take Venezuela's oil. It belongs to America. They had a pastor sitting up there acting like he was making a prophecy, some type of divine, calling to tell him that Venezuela is supposed to give up the oil. These devils is out their mind, man. Super proud against the Lord. So the Lord is he's setting up that snare for this devil. All right. So. That's pretty much the basis of this lesson. I want to go into that, just so you can see what's happening in the spirit. All right. The beast shall hate the whore, and that's what's going to lead to it. All right. Then we got the Medes, you got Russia. The scriptures already make it clear the role that the Medes or the Russians or Gog is going to play in the destruction of this place as well. They're going to have to meet at some point. All this proxy stuff, they're going to have to eventually directly confront each other. And the Lord's going to make that happen through the Spirit. So anyway, with that, I'm going to give all honor, all praise, and glory to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. Until the next lesson, Shalom.